Welcome to the BIS talks on energy management system as provided in ISO 50001. Do I need to explain the importance of energy in our life? No. Do we need to talk about energy management? Yes. Because we cannot shy away from admitting that our track record in this regard has not been reassuring. If the mankind today is confronted with the climate change issues, it has a lot to do with poor energy management on our part. ISO 50001 for energy management system is a tool to help organizations ensure optimum utilization of energy following a holistic approach. BIS adopted this international standard as ISO 50001-2018 to promote the culture of efficient use of the available energy resources in the organizations within the country with the ultimate objective of reducing their carbon footprint. I know you are now curious to know what this standard is all about, and I am no less excited to take you through this wonderful document. Let me urge Mrs. Chitra Gupta, DDG BIS, to flag off this detour.
Energy management system is a management system standard based on process approach. This standard is to manage your energy resources efficiently. This standard can be implemented by any organization either in the manufacturing sector or the service sector. Size of the organization is immaterial. Any organization which is either small, big or large or having complex processes, all can implement this standard. Any organization which is using any type of energy, be it the conventional fossil fuels or the renewable energy sources or your thermal power or coal based power, they can all manage their energy, how to use it efficiently through this standard. This standard is implemented based on the same approach like the other management system based on PDCA cycle, that is plan, do, check and act. Then, like any other management system, it also has the risk-based thinking instead of your preventive measures, which were there in the earlier management systems.
Let us now go through the requirements of the standard to understand how these principles are to be implemented from the head MSCD.
Any organization intending to implement energy management system has to first of all determine the boundaries and applicability of the EnMS in the organization. They have to identify the internal and external factors, the need and expectations of stakeholders involved. Now the next obvious question is, what could be the internal and external factors which can affect the energy management system of any organization? These factors will vary from organization to organization. To give examples of internal factors, first and foremost will be resources, both financial and non-financial, that is infrastructure and human resources. External factors could be the availability of the energy sources and of course the legal requirements and climatic conditions. Now I must flag it here that the identification of the internal and external factors impacting the energy management in the organization will have to be undertaken by the organization itself.
Let us hear from one of our license holder of energy management system on how they undertook this concept.
AFK has implemented energy management system, and under clause number 4.1 context of the organization, AFK has identified external and internal issues. The examples of the external issues are: first, economic and financial factor; second, security of energy supply; third, technology issues; fourth, geographical issues; fifth, legal and other requirement; sixth, restriction of energy consumption. Examples of internal issues are strategic direction of AFK; second, process, system and operational factor; third, age and condition of equipment and machines; fourth, financial circumstances of AFK; fifth, employees' knowledge of AFK.
Having identified the internal and external factors, need and expectation of the stakeholders involved, next aspect is determining the scope of the energy management system. What will be the scope of energy management system? Scope broadly can be stated about efficient usage, conservation and optimum utilization, and management of energy, electrical, gas, fuel, solar, etc., to improve energy performance through creating awareness among all including interested parties, involvement of all concerned, meeting applicable legal requirements, implementation and continual improvement of the energy management system. Then comes the requirement of defining the vision statement of the organization, that is energy policy. Let us hear from one of our officers of MSCD.
It is the organization's commitment to consistently improve its energy performance and reduce its energy consumption by adhering to all applicable regulatory obligations. An example of the same can be given as we XYZ company engaged in the design, manufacture and supply of ABCD products. We are committed to conserve, optimally utilize and manage energy, be it electrical, gas, fuel, solar or any other source. This will help to improve energy performance by creating awareness and involvement of all concerned. It will also help in meeting applicable legal and other requirements, setting up energy objectives, energy targets, design, procuring energy efficient products, services, implementation and continual improvement of energy management system. This policy shall be maintained by the organization as a documented information. The policy needs to be made available to interested parties, to be communicated within the organization, reviewed and updated periodically.
For implementation of the energy management system, the organization needs to constitute an energy management team. This team shall be comprising of persons relevant to the effective implementation of EnMS. Team can include members from each department, especially to include electrical and mechanical maintenance persons, the members from legal compliance team, etc. Let us understand the responsibility of this energy management team from the officer of MSCD.
Energy management team ensures many vital aspects like the implementation of energy policies, the establishment of EnMS scope, the integration of energy management system to organization's business processes so that an energy efficient system is in place within the organization. It also ensures implementation and approval of action plan and availability of resources needed for the energy management system. It also ensures achievement of intended outcomes of EnMS, continual improvement of energy performance vis-a-vis energy management system. The team also ensures that the energy performance indicators appropriately represent energy performance.
Next important clause as defined in the standard is clause number 6, planning. This clause constitutes the actions to address risk and opportunity, setting up objectives and targets and planning to achieve them, conducting energy review, determining energy performance indicators and establishing energy baseline. First, let us understand the risk and opportunity from the head MSCD.
One of the most important aspects of EnMS is identifying the risk and opportunities. These risks and opportunities will vary from organization to organization. Now, why do we need to identify risks and opportunities? It is always expected from a wise leadership to determine the risks and opportunities so that we can take timely action and prevent and reduce the undesired events which can hamper the implementation of EnMS. Sometimes the risk can also be opportunities for an organization. For example, if any organization is using only the non-renewable energy sources like thermal power and fossil fuel, which is very limited, so this gives an organization as opportunity to how the organization can shift from non-renewable to renewable sources like wind energy, solar energy, etc. So it can be implied that risk and opportunity go hand in hand. For this, the organization has to prepare a risk identification analysis and control mitigation chart. There can be other way to determine this also. Now this will identify activity, how it should be done. If it is not done as per the specification or requirement, what type of risk can crop and its severity, and depending on severity, action plan to control, mitigate the risk, and evidence to show the status before and after, so one can see the improvement in energy management performance and EnMS. Just to explain further about the sources of risk, primarily there are 6 sources of risk. Risks arising due to external issues, internal issues, interested parties, legal requirements, and other requirements which the organization subscribed, like member of local association, national level association, international level association, etc. And then operational risk and management system.
Let us hear from the representative of our license holder, Rifle Factory Ishapur, what risks they have identified.
We have identified following risks pertaining to our energy management system at Rifle Factory Ishapur. Energy loss due to sudden shutdown of our machine, furnace and equipment due to the power interruption from the supplier side. Increase in leakage current due to the failure or faults in our distribution system, resulting increase in transmission and distribution loss. Error in monitoring and measuring equipments and meters. Lack of knowledge of regulatory requirements and other requirements. Financial loss due to the penalty on maximum demands for excess drawal of energy over the contractual demand. Loss of energy for compressed air leakages, heat loss through furnace walls, and efficiency loss of machine and furnace due to lack of maintenance.
Till now, in the intent, we have identified the external internal issues, boundaries and applicability, need and expectations of interested parties, scope, policy and risk and opportunities. The next important aspect that comes into the picture is objectives and targets. Objectives are always measurable, if practicable. For this, organization can establish short-term as well as long-term goals. These objectives are also to be maintained as documented information. Let us hear some examples from the officer of MSCD.
The performance of the effective implementation of EnMS is measured through objectives and targets on year-to-year basis or on the plan that we have identified. For example, the organization can have the target of reducing electricity consumption by 3% by the end of the year and 2% plant efficiency improvement by the 4th quarter. The objectives identified by one of our most revered licensee, Coal India Limited, are reduction in consumption of electricity used for lighting, improving fuel efficiency in all the department vehicles. Testing of earth pit is to be carried out periodically as per the statute. When planning to achieve these objectives, organizations have to prepare an action plan that will identify what is to be done to achieve objectives and energy targets, what resources are required for it, who will be responsible when these will be completed, and how the results will be evaluated. Record of the same should be maintained.
After establishing energy objectives and targets, a detailed energy review becomes imminent in planning process where detailed data is gathered for the last 3 to 5 years. This comprehensive energy review will help the organization to prepare action plan and also to arrange the resources. One of the main aims of this is to identify significant energy use and determine the energy performance indicators and energy baseline. To understand these concepts in details, let us hear from the officer of MSCD.
First of all, let us understand what do you mean by the energy review, significant energy use, energy performance indicators and energy baseline. The energy review is basically the analysis of energy efficiency, energy consumption based on the data and other information which lead to the identification of SEUs and the opportunity for improvement. Now, what is significant energy use? It is the application of energy accounting for substantial energy consumption and also offering the potential for energy performance improvement. So, you can ask us what is to be done by the organization for the energy review and identification of SEUs. Different processes can be followed by different organizations, and I can give you one example of this. First of all, put metering system at the entry point of every department to know how much energy is being consumed per shift per day. Thus, find out and record energy consumption of various type of energies per shift per day. For this, the organization can prepare a table wherein the vertical column lists out the department and the horizontal row mention the type of energy being used. The different type of energy can be electricity or the energy generated from the different types of fossil fuels. Now, the organization need to summarize the same for every month and also decide the period for which study to be made. It is generally recommended for the previous 3 years initially, and accordingly that consumption data also needs to be collected. Here, it is very important to note that the all energy units should be converted in single parameter, that is metric tons of oil equivalent. Now, to identify the SEUs, first of all, find out the total energy consumption per month or per year of the organization, and let us assume this total energy consumption to be X units. As you can see on the screen, let us say there are 5 departments and their consumption data are A, B, C, D and E respectively. Calculate the percentage of energy consumed by each department. As you can see, Department 1 consumed 3% of the total energy, Department 2 6% and Department 3 15% and so on. Now, the organization also need to define the criteria to decide which department consumes more energy, and let us say this criteria is 10% consumption of total energy use. Thus, the energy consumption greater than 10% by any department will be considered significant energy use department, and in the above case, Department 3 and 4 will be considered to be SEU. Once the SEUs have been identified, the organization is required to list out the variables in these SEUs that have a significant impact on energy consumption and also estimate the future energy consumption of these SEUs. So, this was all about energy review and identification of SEUs. Moving on, let us understand about the energy performance indicator, which is a unit of energy performance as defined by the organization. Energy baseline is basically a reference providing a basis for comparison of energy performances. How we can determine the energy performance indicators and energy baseline? Let us take the example of the production activity. First of all, find out the total annual or monthly production in some units. We have already measured the total energy consumption. Now, from the total energy consumption, subtract the energy consumption of those areas which do not contribute to the production directly. This is how we can calculate the energy consumed per unit of production. Now, this unit, that is energy consumed per unit of production, will be considered as energy performance indicator, and this current value can be considered as energy baseline for the forthcoming year. Now, prepare the detailed action plan including the design, procurement, installation and commissioning for the reduction in energy consumption. After completion of planned actions, once again the total energy consumed department-wise, month-wise and year-wise is calculated and total production is known. As explained before, we calculate the value of ENPI for this year, which can be compared with the energy baseline. If the energy consumption per unit of production is less than the baseline, then it can be said that the energy performance has improved. If there is a decline in the energy performance, then go to the root cause to find out where something went wrong. Take corrective actions to eliminate non-conforming areas and verify the actions for its effectiveness.
Now comes the do section, where one has to go beyond planning to virtually implement what all has been conceived and envisaged. The requirements for do part has been defined in the Clause 7 support and Clause 8 operations of the standard. Let us hear from the head of MSCD.
Once the planning process is completed, during the execution, the organization needs to ensure that there are the right resources, people and infrastructure to meet the organization goals. Organization has to plan from where and how these resources will be arranged. It requires an organization to determine and provide the necessary resources to establish, implement, maintain and continually improve the EnMS as defined in clause 7 of the standard. The objective of effective EnMS can only be achieved by ensuring competence of the persons, increasing the awareness and determining the internal and external communication relevant to EnMS. Just like any other management system, it is also very important to maintain and retain the documented information determined by the organization as being necessary for the effectiveness of the EnMS and to demonstrate energy performance improvement. Now comes the operational part, in which the organization has to go beyond planning to virtually implement what all has been conceived and envisaged. Operation planning and control. The organization shall plan, implement and control the processes related to SEUs, establish criteria for the process and communicate it to relevant persons doing work under the control of the organization. Then comes design. Having established a design of new, modified and renovated facilities, equipment systems and energy using processes, the organization shall consider energy performance improvement opportunities and operational control. Where applicable, the results of the energy performance consideration shall be incorporated into specification, design and procurement activities. Procurement. When procuring energy using products, equipment and services, the organizations shall establish and implement criteria for evaluating energy performance. The organization shall inform suppliers that energy performance is one of the evaluation criteria for procurement. After planning and implementing comes the checking part as defined in the clause 9 performance evaluation. How the organization can evaluate the EnMS performance? The organization itself can evaluate its performance against the set parameters as defined in the standard. For this, the organization has to monitor, measure, analyze, evaluate and conduct internal audit. Now what needs to be monitored and measured? Effectiveness of action plans in achieving objectives and energy targets, ENPIs, operation of SEUs, actual versus expected energy consumption. Improvement in energy performance shall be evaluated by comparing ENPI value against corresponding ENP. Who can do the internal audit? Internal audits are done by the internal auditors trained by the organization for the said purpose. These internal audits are done at planned interval as defined by the organization to provide information whether the EnMS has actually improved energy performance and is conforming to its own requirements. And it is meeting its own objectives and targets also. Internal audits are generally done by the auditors who are independent to the activity to maintain the impartiality. The findings of the internal audits are recorded and then comes the role of top management which will do the management review. Why this management review is important? The management review is important so that the management can get the level of implementation of EnMS in the organization and what more is required to be done for a sustainable and effective energy management system. The management will review the organization EnMS at planned interval to ensure continuing suitability, effectiveness and alignment with the strategic direction of the organization. Based on the management review, which is an important aspect, actions for the future are decided to improve the energy management system.
Next comes the act part of PDCA cycle, that is improvement clause. There are two aspects in improvement clause. First, action will be taken by the management to fill up the loopholes in system. When any non-conformity is identified, swift action is taken to control and rectify it, and also to eliminate the causes of non-conformity and thereby take effective corrective actions. Another aspect is how we can continue to grow and become more efficient and become much better organization for energy management in a sustainable manner. That becomes a continual improvement. Let us now hear from the representative of our esteemed licensees, Messrs. Rifle Factory Ishapur.
Rifle Factory Ishapur, which is an energy management system licensee of BIS from 2014. After adopting this systematic approach, we are able to continually improve our energy performance by implementing various energy conservation projects. Rifle Factory Ishapur has implemented a total of 69 various energy conservation projects with an energy saving of 75.43 lakh kilowatt hour and a cost savings of rupees 652 lakhs.
Now that we know about the standard, let us hear about the certification of energy management system.
Any organization desirous of obtaining certification as per any management system standard has to do the following. Identify key personnel and form a core group. The core group will study requirements of the standard and carry out a gap analysis. The core group members can be assigned tasks with defined time frame including preparation of manual procedures, etc. After the preparation of documents have been completed, the documents need to be approved by an authorized person. These documents have to be circulated to all departments under energy management system. An awareness training program has to be conducted for all concerned. A system coordinator may be appointed to ensure effective implementation of energy management system in all departments under the scope of EnMS. The system coordinator should also organize one cycle of management review to ascertain that energy management system is in place and giving desired results. After these steps have been completed, the organization can apply to BIS on BIS portal. Similarly, when BIS receives an application, it should undertake scrutiny of application as per the checklist to ensure that all required information has been provided by the applicant, like location, products, services, departments under energy management system, total manpower. So when we receive the application, we undertake the scrutiny of application as per the checklist to ensure that all required information has been provided by the applicant. Any shortcomings in the application is communicated to the applicant and required information is sought. So finally, the application is recorded and acknowledgement is sent.
After recording, what is the process of auditing?
With mutual consent, Stage 1 and Stage 2 audits are carried out by BIS auditor. The auditors are nominated by regional management system certification officers. Now, what is Stage 1 audit? During Stage 1 audit, the things are verified. All the information provided in the application previously, whether it is correct or authentic. Now their size, location, whether single site, multi-site or multi-location, which they have given in their application. Their manpower, which is connected to EnMS and others. Products and service of the organization, which they are providing. Then scope of certification, which they have decided, that has to be decided by applicant. Then readiness of the applicant in a general way to ascertain feasibility of Stage 2, that is compliance audit. So we will see in the Stage 1 audit whether the applicant is ready for next audit, that is Stage 2 audit or not. This is the main motto of Stage 1 audit. Now if any guidance or clarification is required by the applicant in this stage, it is to be provided by the auditor. Fee, charges, details to be informed to decide upon the tentative date for Stage 2 audit. Then comes Stage 2 audit, that is the main audit, assessment audit. Here BIS audit team visits the locations as per agreed dates and following activities are undertaken in this audit. Initial audit schedule is finalized in consultation with system coordinator and top management. Then team leader of the team assigns responsibilities to auditors in their team for audit of various departments. Preparation is done by collecting relevant documents, formats, procedures. On the day of audit, first we do opening meeting where team leader introduces himself and other auditors to the auditee. He also informs the purpose, method, audit criteria, audit scope, etc. Their confidentiality, that any auditor when they are going for audit, they are bound by confidentiality. So we will not be disclosing anything to anybody which auditee can inform us. After verifying evidences of samples selected, evaluating the cases against actual practice, procedures, manual, etc., and conformity or non-conformity is established. Team leader ensures that audit of all departments as per the schedule is completed, all relevant evidences are collected, verified, etc. Any non-conformity is observed, the same is discussed with auditee, system coordinator and communicated to the auditee for taking appropriate action with a time frame of 45 days as per BIS guidelines terms. If the audit findings are satisfactory, then audit team leader submits the initial or stage 2 audit report to concerned MSCO. MSCO reviews the report submitted by team leader. Normally here one thing is important, MSCO will only review the report if he is trained in energy management system, otherwise the review is done by an expert. If everything is found meeting certification requirements, then MSCO puts up the file to Deputy Director General in standard format with his recommendation. Then DDGR, after scrutinizing the papers, grants license to the applicant. Now Management System Certification Officer of the region then informs the applicant, collects license fees, audit charges and then issues license information letter. License document is signed by the Deputy Director General of the region along with BIS terms and conditions. The license is granted for 3 years, during which there will be 2 surveillance audits conducted by BIS at an interval of 1 year each.
Undoubtedly, BIS Management Certification Service provides confidence to the interested parties, ensures improvement of processes on a continuous basis, ensures objectivity, confidentiality and impartiality in the certification process. At this crucial juncture, when it is becoming increasingly difficult to contain the rising consumption of energy, Bureau of Indian Standards has extended a helping hand in the field of energy management. Managing and reducing energy consumption is the need of the hour. The ISO 50001 standard has emerged as the key player in redressing the woes of all those who are finding it difficult to cope with inflated energy bills. More than that, the BIS is serving the larger cause of the nation in reducing pollution and cleaning the environment. This two-pronged strategy of the BIS, first by adopting the ISO 50001 standard and later by coming up with an energy management system, is helping the nation to forge ahead on the path of economic transformation. This is all for now. Wishing you an illuminating future. Just remember, energy saved is energy generated.